Let's come and sit in our chairs, coming to sit slightly forward on your chair so that your feet can be flat on the floor. And then draw your spine up and nice and tall away from the back of the chair. And I'm going to encourage you, first thing in practice today, to give your hips a little bit of a wiggle in the chair and start to feel around for the bony bits of your hips that you actually sit on. So it doesn't matter how much flesh you have underneath your hips, you can still kind of move around here and feel kind of the weight, the weight bearing parts of the hips there that you're actually sitting on. And then see if you can kind of sink a little bit more into those weight bearing parts into your sit bones. You can let your hands rest in your lap, and we'll start to just gently pad the feet on and off the floor, just maybe lifting the toes up and down a few times, spreading the toes out. You might have bare feet like me, you might have socks on, you might be wearing shoes. So just adjust as needed. It's okay if you need to wear shoes. You're welcome to do that. If you don't need to wear shoes right now, I do encourage you to practice with stocking or bare feet. Gives you a little bit more sensation there in your feet. But if you have shoes on, that's okay. Then from here, imagine a little cable or cord attached to the very top of your head, kind of the highest point of the crown of your head here, and draw the crown of your head up. So as though that cable or cord was being pulled towards the ceiling. And you have to sit a little bit taller. Feeling the length here coming out of your neck, out of your spine. Now see if you can sustain that lift as you start to deepen your breath. Breathing as best you can in and out through your nose. Now, if you're feeling at all congested there in the sinuses, or at all feeling kind of like unable to breathe through your nose, then you can breathe through your mouth if and when you need. But when possible, try to breathe through your nose. Sustaining that sense of length in your spine, let your shoulders settle, let your arms become heavier, and even feel your hips sink a little bit more into your chair. Good. Then let's take both hands now and place them on the low belly, somewhere just around or below your belly button. And start first here by feeling, without actually trying to make anything happen here, just feel how your belly, or if your belly is moving as you breathe. And then begin to gently accentuate the sensation there in the belly. So if you're not feeling anything, see if you can just soften the belly a little bit more. And then as you inhale, feel your belly expand. Then as you exhale, now using just a little bit of muscle strength, contract the belly back in, helping to empty that breath out. Soften the belly again right away, and inhale deep within the belly, feeling it expand. And then as you exhale, feel your belly now start to contract, actually using a little bit of muscle strength there to draw the belly in. And again, soften and breathe in, expanding. As you exhale, a little bit more active effort there in the belly, contracting back in. Let's do 3 more breaths like that. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. And again, inhale. and exhale. Beautiful. Now take your hands up towards your chest, just gently resting the hands there at the top of the chest. So below the base of the throat, but kind of above the kind of main part of your rib cage. So there should be a bony bit right there, the sternum. Your hands resting kind of right on that bony bit, that centered bony piece. And just like you paid attention to your belly as you breathe, now pay attention to this space of the chest, not trying to create any movement here at first, but just feeling the movement that is already there. And then just like we did with the belly now, as you inhale, feel your chest expand all on its own, just by breathing more into the chest. And now without too much effort, just allow the chest to drop and draw in as you exhale. Soften the throat here. There's no need for restriction in the throat. Inhale, expand. Then exhale, feel that softening, that contracting. Inhale, expand through the chest. Exhale, softening, contracting. Inhale, expand. Exhale, soften and contract. Let's do 3 more breaths like that. So you'll notice here with these chest breaths that it feels more like an upward and downward motion. That as you inhale, there is a side to side motion, but and a forward and back, but it's really predominantly a sense of lifting up and then a sense of coming down. Maybe for you it's a little different, and that is okay. But we are looking for a little bit of that up and down motion. Okay, let's bring the hands now to the sides of the rib cage. Now, if you find having your hands here up on the sides of the rib cage just not available to you or painful at all, you could bring your hands a little lower down. Maybe even just letting the hands rest in your lap and imagining you had hands here on the sides of the ribs. And just like we did, start to feel the motion that is already there in the lungs, in the rib cage as you breathe. And then gently start to encourage a bit more breath directly into the centered space of your torso and feeling that accentuated expansion, maybe a little bit more outside to side. You'll feel it forward and back. You might even feel a little up and down, but predominantly out to the sides. Then as you exhale again without any sort of muscular effort, feel the rib cage contract in, feel the lungs empty. Feel that centered part of the body kind of pulling in. Then keep it soft here as you inhale and fill up right at the center of the torso. Then exhale, feel that contraction drawing in. Again, inhale, maybe working to accentuate that side to side expansion. And feeling that gentle contraction. Let's do 3 more like this. Very good. All right, let's bring all of this together now. So take one hand, place it on the belly. Take your other hand, place it on the chest. Keeping some awareness in the space between the hands, take a complete exhale breath now. Empty out. You're going to inhale a third of your breath to your belly, a third of your inhale to the rib cage, and the final third up to the chest. And then exhaling one third from the chest, one third from the rib cage, one third from the belly, emptying out, feeling that gentle contraction. So let's soften again. Take another inhale. Just let yourself breathe naturally in. And one more big exhale, empty all the way out. Then one third of your breath to your belly. Next third to the rib cage. Final third up to the chest. Exhale from the chest, one third. From the rib cage, one third. Final third from the belly. Pull the belly in as you empty every last bit of air out. Good. Soften everything now. Inhale, one third to the belly. One third to the space between the hands. One third up into the chest. Exhale from the chest, from the space between the hands. Final bit from the belly. Draw it in. Good. Soften everything here. Inhale, belly. Space between the hands. Inhaling. Right up to the chest. Inhale. Exhale from the chest. Exhale from the space between the hands. Exhale from the belly. Pull it in. Good. Let's keep going like this. Inhale, belly. Rib cage. Chest. Exhale, chest. Rib cage. Belly. 3 more. Inhale. Belly. Rib cage. Chest. Exhale, chest. Rib cage. Belly. Last one. Excuse me. Inhale, belly. Rib cage. Chest. Exhale, chest. Rib cage. Belly. Empty out. Now release the effort of your breath. Bring your hands to your lap and feel your natural breath return. Maybe noticing those parts still to that natural breath. It might be a bit more subtle, but that's okay. Feeling the fullness of your natural breath here. Just got a tickle in my throat. Nice. Next time you breathe out, let your chin drop towards your chest. As you inhale, take your chin up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, drop the chin down. As you inhale, lift your chin up. Beautiful. Exhale, drop the chin down. And now let the chin slide from one shoulder and across to the other shoulder, keeping the head slightly hanging forward. And if it's okay for your neck, there's no injury or osteoporosis in there. The next time your chin comes to your right shoulder, you might lift the chin up and circle it across the ceiling and back down. Or you might stay to those sliding motions from side to side. When you've taken 3 circles there in one direction, pause for a moment and then shift the direction and circle the head 3 times the other way. Beautiful. Bringing your head now back into center. Sitting up nice and tall, we're going to tilt the head towards the right. Just going to feel that out. See how that feels on the left side of the neck. And then bring your head back to center and tilt it over to the left. Very good. Bring your head now back to center, and let's bring hands onto the hips here. Wrap your elbows back a little bit and feel the shoulders roll more to the back of your body. So it's like you're trying to squeeze your elbows kind of more closely together behind you. All right, keep that. And now let's tilt the head to the right again. See how that feels. Good. Let's bring the head to center and tilt it over to the left. Nice. Let's bring the head back up to center. Now you're welcome to keep your hands on your hips, working those elbows closer together, or you could try bringing the hands around behind you, interlace the fingers there, and press your knuckles down towards the seat of the chair. This is going to draw those shoulders even further back and down, broadening a bit more through the chest. Good. And then now let's try again, tilting the head towards the right. Very good. Bring the head to center. Let's tilt to the left. Really nice. Let's bring the head to center. So either you have your hands interlaced and they're pressing towards the seat of the chair, or your hands are on your hips and your elbows are squeezing back. Let's take another inhale breath here to lift the chest a little higher. Then wherever your hands are, release them, bring them around in front. Interlace your fingers, and as you take your next exhale, press the palms forward and round your back. Now, if interlacing the hands like this is not an option for you, you could hold one wrist with the other hand. Take a couple more breaths here. Good. On your inhale now, take those hands back to either your hips or around behind you. Interlace there, draw the knuckles down, lift the chest up, big breath in. Then let's exhale and sweep those arms around in front. Interlace the palms and press those palms forward. Round the spine. Very good. Inhale, sweep the hands around behind you or on your hips. Interlace, press those knuckles down, lift the chest up. Exhale, bring the hands around in front. Press those palms forward and let's round that back. We've got 3 more in us, I'm sure. Let's inhale, hands to the hips or behind you. If your hands are on your hips, elbows hug back. Exhale, arms around in front. Interlace and press those palms forward. 2 more now. Inhale, hands to the hips or behind you. Lift that chest, lift that gaze. Exhale, hands around in front. Interlace the fingers, press the palms forward and round. Beautiful job. One more time. Inhale, hands around the back or onto the hips. Press down, lift up, big breath in. Exhale, bring those hands around in front, interlace and press the palms forward. Actively round your spine. Let's hold here. Breathe here. Good work. Little dynamic motion to get the blood flowing. Beautiful. Now sit up nice and tall and let those arms drop down to your sides. They should feel a little bit more used now, a little bit more awake. Good. Let's keep the hands at the side and imagine you had like a brick, or I'm going to even say something like a pen on the floor just beside you on your right hand side. And you're going to start to tilt your rib cage down and over to the right, like you were going to pick it up very subtly. You didn't want to stand up or anything. You're just going to very subtly lean over to the right. You do not need to touch the floor here. Well, let's inhale back up into center. Now be mindful of the spine as you do this. If there's any instability, injury there, you might not go as far. You might work to sit upright instead. If you're coming to the left with me, imagine that pen on the left side and you're reaching kind of covertly down, like you don't want a lot of people to see. You're just gently reaching down for that pen. Then inhale, rise back up to center. Remember those little bony bits we were sitting on? Let's keep those heavy in the chair as you curve back over to the right so that left hip stays down. Then come back up into center and we're going to curve over to the left. Good. Keep that right hip down. Inhale up through center. Let's go one more time over to the right. Inhale back up into center and over to the left. Beautiful. Use your inhale breath. Rise back up into your center position. Turn your palms now forward so the shoulders roll back. Sitting tall in your Tadasana. Beautiful. Let's start working into the legs here by simply extending that right leg forward, heel on the floor, and then do a little point and flex with that right foot. Again, if you're wearing shoes, you may need to lift the foot off the floor to get some motion in that ankle, but we're working to point and flex the right foot as best you can. Good. Then let's try rotating the right foot, getting some circular motion in that ankle. Good. Let's try circling it the other way. Good. Then draw the right foot back towards your face. So the heel remains on the floor, but the sole of the foot is shining away from you and the toes are drawing back. Sitting up tall now, reimagine that string or cable at the top of your head pulling you towards the ceiling. As you press your right heel away from you and reach the crown of the head up, we're asking for a lot of stretch and length through the back of the body. So just kind of feel that. See if you notice any sensations through that work. Nice. Keep that uplifted feeling as you step your right foot back down onto the ground. Good. Let's extend the left leg out now and point and flex the left foot a few times. Then rotate that left ankle. Try rotating it the other way. Good. Nice. Then again, flex the left foot back towards you. So what we're really doing here is asking for the heel to reach away. That's going to access the muscles in the back of the leg. As we keep the legs straight, we want to lift the upper body higher, asking now for the muscles that attach at the hip to get longer. So this is asking a lot of that back body. So we just stay here for a few moments and we breathe, keeping that action of the crown of the head going up and the left heel going away. Beautiful. Let's now bend that left foot, place the left foot onto the floor and heel toe your feet now wide apart, as wide as you can comfortably bring them. Placing the toes just slightly out from the heels, looking down at your knees. You're widening the knees so they stay over your ankles. If you have your feet kind of wide and your knees are falling in and you can't quite get them out over the ankles, walk the feet in a little bit. Let's align those knees over the ankles and then point the toes in the same direction as your kneecaps are pointing. We'll bring hands back onto the hips this time. Let your elbows stay resting out to the sides, sitting tall again. Let's inhale both heels off the floor, keeping the toes on the ground, both heels off the floor and lifted. Good. If you want a little added effort here, if you're like, I got energy, body's feeling really good today, you might float the right toes from the floor. Good. If you have the right toes floated up, place them back down and then try floating the left toes from the floor. Very good. Place the left toes down and let's all place heels back down onto the ground. We're going to take the right leg, re-extend it out, this time more out to the right. And again, your space might be a little narrower and that's okay. You just take the right leg in that angle that you've set up for yourself. Beautiful. From here, the left hand's going to rest on the left thigh, or if it's available to you, you might rest your left elbow on your left thigh. And we'll take the right arm now up towards the sky. Good. You could stay here. You might keep your right hand on your hip. That's fine too. Or now you might turn that right palm so this shining over your head and you start to reach that right arm overhead. We're accentuating the stretch down the right side of the body. Once again, press that right heel away. Nice. On your inhale breath, rise back up into center. Let your arms come down. Place that right foot back onto the floor. Keep the legs wide. And now turn the left or extend the left foot out. So when we extend that left leg, flex the toes back and actively reach the heel away from you. Right hand can stay on the right thigh, or if it's available, maybe it's your right elbow. Take the left arm up towards the sky. Reach through that left heel. And then again, you have a choice here. You might stay as you are, or you might turn that left palm to face over your head and then start to reach the whole left arm overhead. Long, smooth breaths. On your inhale, rise back up into center, letting the arms come down, stepping that left foot back in, keeping the legs wide. Hands can come onto the knees as you bend your elbows slightly and fold just a little bit forward, like a quarter of the way forward. You'll feel a bit of weight come into your hands and then start to press into your feet and really wake up the strength of the legs. You're welcome to stay here like this, especially if you have any concerns for your hips or low back. This is a beautiful place. If the spine is feeling okay today, you might come a little bit lower down. You might come onto your elbows. Continue to press into the feet. Good. Again, if the spine is feeling okay, the body's got an extra bit of energy today, you might take your arms now out in front of you, staying in this bit of a forward fold. Beautiful. Press into those feet really strong. Really wake up those legs. And the last option here, if knees, hips, and low back are feeling okay, is you might shift the weight off the chair into your feet and hover your hips away from the chair. You can use your hands to help if you need. That's okay. But keep a bend in the knees and keep those hips going back. So if you were to look at your knees, they're not coming in front of your toes and they're not falling in. They're staying over the heels and behind the toes a little. You've got it. Good job. Let's all breathe here wherever you are. It's perfect. Be there and feel that full breath. Good. Press into those feet now and let's rise up. Come all the way up to sit or stand nice and tall. And then turn the palms out. Exhale and let the arms come down. Nice and slow. Good. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, arms out and down. Good. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, arms out and down. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. With the arms at your side, turn your toes in and start to walk the feet back in underneath your hips or in line with your hips, sitting or standing back in your Tadasana. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your hips if you're sitting on the chair. If you're not sitting, still kind of locating those bony bits you sit on and let them feel heavy. Finding that imaginary string or cable at the top of your head and reaching the top of the head up. Good. Soften the jaw, soften the face. All that work, and we're going to create a bit of ease around it. Beautiful. Now, inhale the left arm up, maybe overhead, maybe left hand to the shoulder if that feels better, or onto your hip. On your next breath out, as you exhale, you're going to arc the body over to the right. Little tone of the belly here. So not so much that you restrict your breathing, but a little support of the belly. And then some of you might take your right hand up to hold your left wrist and accentuate that side stretch. That's an option. It's not necessary as we curve over to the right. Good. Press into both feet, heavy in the seat as you rise back up into center. Release the arms down to your sides. Standing or sitting tall, Tadasana. Take the right arm now up overhead or fingertips on the shoulder or hand on the hip. Good, and curve over to your left, exhaling. Keep the breath moving here, little support of the belly. Your choice to bring that left hand up and hold the right wrist. Working to straighten that right arm as best you can as you reach over to the left. Then inhale, rise back into your center position and release the arms back down, Tadasana, standing or sitting tall. Feel that depth of breath. Maybe even tap in a little bit to the 3 parts of your breath again. When we pay attention so deeply to the breath, we can't really get lost too much in our thinking. All right, those who are standing, you can take your chair to the top of your mat and turn the seat of the chair to face you. If you're sitting, stay seated as you are, holding in Tadasana. All right, from here, I'm going to give us some options. So if you're standing and you feel kind of wobbly, that's okay. You could bring your hands right away onto the seat of the chair. That's fine for a bit of support. If you're feeling pretty steady standing, that's great. Stay upright. Those who are standing, you're going to take your left foot back behind you, just a couple feet. Doesn't have to be very far. You want to make sure your left heel stays on the floor and the toes are pointing forward. If you're sitting, open your left knee out to the left a little bit and take your right leg straight out in front, heel on the floor. Good. Those who are standing, I want you to be really attentive that you didn't step your left foot behind your right foot, but instead a little bit out to the left. So the wider your feet are outside to side, the more stable you're going to be. Nice. You could have your hands on the chair. That is fine. Good. Keep that right leg nice and straight. Feel your right heel drawing away from you. If you're standing or sitting, place your hands on your hips and start to fold forward. So if you've already got your hands on the chair, you're already in a bit of a forward fold, so stay there and breathe. Those who are standing and they don't have your hands on the chair, I'm going to encourage you to keep your hands lifted for as long as you can without strain to really work the core and leg strength. Those who are sitting, your hands could come onto your right thigh as you fold further down that right leg. If you're standing, when you're ready, you could place your hands onto the seat of the chair, maybe bend your elbows, maybe lower your elbows down as you go further into this single leg stretch. All right, those in the chair, find those bony bits you sit on and press them into the chair a bit more. Those who are standing, try to locate those sitting bones and press them back equally away from you. Good. All right, those who are standing, place your hands onto the chair, lift up part way. Those who are sitting, place your left elbow on your left thigh. Then let's all take right hand onto the right hip. Right hand on the right hip. Roll that right shoulder back behind you and gently start to twist towards your right, but keep those sit bones in that action I was talking about. So if you're sitting, it's down into the chair. If you're standing, it's back behind you. Some of you might keep your right hand on your hip. That's great. Some of you might take the right arm up towards the ceiling. Good. Revolve triangle pose. Beautiful job, everybody. Let's do one more breath here. Then gently release the right hand down. Good. If you're sitting, your hands can come onto your knees as you ease yourself back up. If you're standing, you can step your feet together first, or keep your feet as they are. Bring your hands back up onto your hips. Use that leg and core strength to rise yourself back up. Then let's all step feet back into side by side, returning to Tadasana. Find that fullness of breath. Should feel a little odd here, especially if you're standing, you're going to feel like the right leg's a little different than the left. That is great. You might notice that as well when you're seated. All right, we're going to come into the other side. So again, if you're feeling a little unstable while you're standing, place your hands on the chair. If you're sitting, your right knee is going to open a little bit to the right, then your left leg's going to go straight out in front of you. If you're standing, it is your right foot now that's going to step back 2.5 feet, 2 feet, depends on how long your legs are, depends on how your hips are doing. Ensure the toes are facing straight forward, but the feet are not behind one another, that you have some space right to left between the feet. Good. And then again, you have your choice. Hands on the chair are on your hips. So if you're sitting, your hands are on your hips. Good. If you're standing, you have that choice with your hands. Then those who have their hands on the hips, you can start to fold forward little bits at a time. Keep that left heel pressing down or out and away from you. Good. And then those who are standing, you might release your hands to the chair here, bend your elbows a little deeper as you come forward in your fold. If you're sitting, your hands could travel, your left hand could travel down your left leg as you fold forward. Okay, those who are sitting, feel those sit bones now, root them into the chair. Those who are standing, use that internal perception to find your sit bones and start to press them back behind you. Okay, if you're sitting, keep your right elbow on your right thigh. If you're standing, come back up to hands on the seat of the chair. You're going to take your left hand now up onto your left hip. Roll. So wherever you are, left hand, left hip, roll that left shoulder up and slowly turn to look towards your left. Don't forget those hips and sit bones. If you're sitting, keep them heavy in the chair. If you're standing, draw those hips back behind you. Good. You might keep your left hand on your left hip. You might take that left arm up overhead. These are options. Take the option that is appropriate for you today. Be where you are and breathe there. Beautiful work, everybody. On your next exhale, let that left hand come down. Again, you have the option to step your feet side by side before making your way up. If you're standing, press into both feet. Right, step them side by side, or pressing down, lift the hands to the hips and rise up slowly. Once your chest is all the way up, then step the feet side by side. Let's all return to Tadasana, taking some of the deepest, fullest breaths you've taken yet. Beautiful. Now, for those who are standing, if you're comfortable coming to the floor, you could use the chair to lower yourself down so you can come to sit on the floor next to your chair. So you're sitting perpendicular to your chair. Then your hands might come behind you and you can bring your legs one at a time up onto the seat of the chair as you lay yourself down. Okay, those who are already sitting in the chair, you might slide now to the back of your chair. And if you happen to have another chair close by or a coffee table or a hassock that you could put your feet up onto, Give that a try. If you don't have any props or it's just not comfortable for you to have your legs up like that, you could put your feet on some blocks or a pillow, or just make sure they're resting on the floor. Wherever you are, I want to ensure that your back has support. So if you need to put a pillow behind your back, if you're sitting in the chair, please do. And then once you have your body set up here, take one hand again onto that low belly space. Take the other hand up onto your chest. Soften the elbows, soften the shoulders, and tune back into the flow of your breath between your hands. Close your eyes if you haven't already. And you might release your arms now down to your sides or into your lap. Placing your tongue now softly to the roof of your mouth. Each time you exhale, very gently start to hum like a little buzzing bumblebee. This will create a little vibration naturally through the tongue, and this will help to relax the nervous system. Each exhale is this humming breath. Each inhale is the natural breath through the nose. Starting when you're ready and continuing that Brahmari breath until I cue to end. Take 3 more breaths like this. At the end of your exhale here, let the tongue drop down from the roof of the mouth. Release the effort of breathing. Let your natural breath return. If you have your legs up on the chair and you're lying on the floor, bring your knees towards your belly, wrap your arms around your legs and give your legs a little squeeze or hug here. If you're sitting in the chair, place your feet back on the floor and then fold down over your legs, wrapping your arms underneath and squeezing here. If you're on the floor, you might rock your hips from side to side. If you're in the chair, simply hold or gently sway your upper body to create a little bit of sense of release and ease. And those on the floor now, you can roll yourself over onto your right side. Now, if rolling to the right is not comfortable for you, you can roll to your left. Then lift yourself up slightly and slide away from the chair so you can come to lay down onto your back and have lots of space around you. If you're sitting in the chair, make sure now you can sit away from the back of your chair, place your feet on the floor and move out any props that you were using so they're not in your way. Those on the floor, bend your knees, place your feet on the ground and walk your feet in as close as you comfortably can towards your hips. So just be mindful of the knees here. They'll tell you kind of when you're at your edge. If you're in the chair, your heels are right below your knees, and let's all start to press down into the feet. If you're sitting in the chair, wrap your hands now to the back of your chair. Take those shoulders back, lift the chest up, come into your back bend here. If you're on the floor, rest the backs of your hands onto the ground, pin down the thumbs and pinky fingers, root the head down and lift your hips away from the floor, coming into your back bend, your bridge pose here. Now watch those on the floor as you lift your hips, the knees might want to splay out. Squeeze the knees a little closer together. They don't have to touch, but we want them to stay on the inner line of the hips. Good. Wherever you are here, feel the fullness of your breath. Keep the chest open. Beautiful. Let's gently release now. Those on the floor, as you bring your hips down, shift your hips over to the right side of your mat. So your hips are going to come down, but they're a little skewed to the right. If you're sitting in the chair, you might pivot your whole body to face the right side of your chair. Then take your left hand to your right thigh and your right hand behind you. If you're on the floor, you can float your feet off the ground and take your legs over to the left. Arms go wide out to the side, and your gaze may stay straight up towards the ceiling, or if it's appropriate and okay for your neck, you might turn your head to look right. Wherever you are here, I'm going to encourage you to re-tap in to that 3-part breath. And even in the restriction of this twist, feel the sensations of the breath in the belly, rib cage, and the chest. Beautiful. Okay, those on the floor, keep your feet touching the ground as you gently peel the knees up and roll the hips back down. Those in the chair, you're going to unwind your upper body first. Then if you're seated to the right, pivot yourself all the way around to face the left side of your chair. Whole body turns. If you're on the floor, feet are on the ground, you're going to gently lift and slide your hips through center and over to the left side of your mat. Placing the hips down onto the left, then you can lift your feet up and take your legs over to the right. Keeping the arms long, gaze maybe to the ceiling or to the left. Those in the chair now, right hand to the left thigh, left arm behind you, and twisting here. Final little wringing out of the body. Twists are kind of just a really efficient way to give the whole body a stretch, a hug, a kind of compression before we release out into Savasana. Notice if your tongue is still pressing to the roof of your mouth, let your tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth, soften the throat. Then with those if you're on the floor with your feet still kind of touching the ground, you're gonna roll your knees back up, roll your hips back down. If you're in the chair, unwind your upper body first, then pivot your whole body around to face forward. Those on the floor, you're gonna shift your hips into the center of your mat, aligning your hips with your shoulders. So your spine should feel like a straight column between the hips and the shoulders. If you're in the chair, come back to sit up nice and tall with your spine still a little bit away from the back of the chair. We'll all take the feet wide apart again, maybe as wide as your mat if you're on the floor. And those who are on the floor, you could sway your knees from side to side. Those in the chair, you might try swaying the knees. Sometimes that's not very available in the chair. And so instead, just gently let your upper body sway a little bit, like a tree in the breeze. Encouraging a kind of softening, releasing feeling to the flow of movement. Once you sort of feel a little bit of that sense of letting go or softening, then you can set yourself up into Savasana. Now, if you're like, I'm not feeling any release, that's okay. You'll set yourself into Savasana anyways, trusting that Savasana will bring a little release for you. If you're in the chair, you're going to slide to the back of your chair. Again, making sure your spine is supported here and that your feet have support as well. If you're on the floor, you might straighten your legs out on the ground. You might place a bolster or pillow under your knees, or you might keep the knees bent, let the knees fall together. If you're on the floor, the backs of your hands might rest back down onto the ground. And make sure that your neck still feels long and the head is able to release. If you're in the chair, hands could rest in your lap. I do find it a little bit more releasing for the shoulders if you put a pillow in your lap and rest your hands on that. And then if it's comfortable for you, I'll ask you now to close your eyes. If that feels uncomfortable for you, you're welcome to keep your eyes open. But then wherever you are, start to truly let those eyes sink back into their sockets, diverting the energy and effort that we use so much of to look outwards. And instead, for the next few moments, turn that energy to be inwards, not to examine, analyze, or judge, but to rest in our internal space where there is a little peace, a little calm, a little ease. Coming now into that quiet space, letting the body rest. And I'll bring us back when it's time to fully close the practice. your body to continue to rest just as it is. And notice just by hearing my voice, if you feel that urgency to start to move, I'm going to encourage you to stay still just for a few more moments and instead turn your attention back to your breath without trying to change or alter your breath at all. Simply, once again, become aware of the feeling of breathing. And know that it is through your capacity to be aware of this breath that you are able to return to this place of peace and calm that is within you at all times. Starting now to move a little bit through your fingers, move a little bit through your toes, and gently maybe turn your head one way and then the other. It would feel good for you here. You could take your arms up over your head, maybe interlace your fingers and press your palms away from you, getting nice and long through the body once more. If you're lying on the floor, you might bend your knees again, one at a time, very gently, very slowly, and then roll yourself over onto your right hand side, curling in on your side. If you're sitting in the chair, you could release your arms now onto your legs, resting your elbows or hands down and letting your upper body so gently fold over the legs. Let this be really easy, very gentle. If you're on your side, start to press yourself up now and come to sit. Maybe you return to sit in your chair, or you come to sit on the floor, maybe with your legs straight out or your legs crossed. And if you're already sitting in the chair, ease yourself back up, come away from the back of the chair, removing any props you might have been using to ensure your feet can still rest firm on the floor. And once in your seat, and there's truly no rush, take your time to get there. Bring your hands together in front of your heart, palms touching into Anjali Mudra. And once again, soften or close the eyes. For just a moment, touch back in to that calm, peaceful place. Lifting the hands up, take your thumbs and rest them just between the eyebrows and say to yourself here, may I think kind thoughts. Bringing the thumbs down towards the lips now, resting them there, say to yourself, may I speak kind words. Bringing the thumbs down now to the center of the chest, bowing the head in, say to yourself, may I feel and experience kindness. Thank you all so much for continuing to come and to practice yoga together. Namaste.